This video is just going to cover generally frequently asked questions about Workiva that we've been getting. First question is, do I need to save files in Workiva? No. Your work is constantly saving automatically. It's an autosave function working continuously in the background within Workiva. Now, if you want to save it outside of Workiva to your computer or your server, then you'll need to go through the process of exporting the file, which there's a separate video for that. But within Workiva, you don't need to be clicking save anywhere. There isn't even a save button to click. Next question. Will I receive an email confirming submission of my reporting package? No. At least not for the packages that are done in Workiva. For the packages that are still submitted the old way through our emailing the ACFR inbox, you will still get a confirmation email. But for the Workiva packages, no. Now, we will still send out reminder emails when packages are due, and we will email the agencies that have not submitted their package by the deadline. So typically that's the Monday after the due date. You will receive an email and we'll say, hey, we haven't received your package, and you can let us know if that's an error, or you can explain why you haven't submitted it yet. Now, some people were concerned that not getting this email confirmation, they won't have the proper audit documentation to provide the auditors to support the fact that they submitted the package on time. So a couple things with that. One, we talk to the auditor's office, and they will be using the submission control log that we keep as their primary source of documentation for checking timeliness of reporting packages. The timeliness of reporting packages procedure is not always tested. I think in some of the recent AUPs it hasn't been tested, but it is always subject to testing and is very likely to be tested in the near future. And it can be tested through the AUPs, but I think it could also potentially be tested just through the ACFR audit itself. Aside from that, if you still feel uneasy about the fact that you aren't getting that email confirmation, Workiva does have a history function. So if you go to the far right of your screen in a package that you've worked in and clicked this clock looking thing with a arrow around it, the history function, it will pull up a spreadsheet history. If you click the cell tab to the right, it can also pull up a cell history. Now, the spreadsheet history is going to be most reliable for indicating you haven't, or that you submitted on time, because it's going to show the last time you modified anything in the package. So for this agency, Allison is the user. Anything was May 12th. So this is support that's the last time she did anything in the package, and you can just assume from that she didn't modify it after that, and that would be her submission date. You can also specifically go to the submission box, D6, which you know you're in the right box if you look in this top left corner, and then go back to the cell history, and it has all the history for that specific cell. So this shows that Allison hit submitted on May 12th at this time. So that's further support. Again, you could have a situation where you hit submitted, but you haven't finished the package, and you go back and edit things after the fact. So if you have May 12th as the date you hit submitted here, but it shows edits in the overall spreadsheet after that point, that's going to be what is relied on more, if it's even used. But all of this you'll have in Workiva. The auditors will have access to Workiva, but you can always point them in this direction if there's some sort of discrepancy with our audit submission log, which I haven't run into there being a discrepancy with that before, but it can happen. Next question. What files should be attached in Workiva? Please only attach files that are requested by the reporting package in Workiva. So it's going to be your signature page, and then within the actual forms, it may ask you to attach some sort of supporting documentation to that cell. For anything else, some agencies might send us the SKIS reports they received from us. We don't need you to attach that. We already have it, and it's in SKIS. You may send some other supporting documentation in the past. Please don't attach that unless it's something that we specifically request because you're a unique agency. There's a few agencies that do. Department of Revenue is a good example. They may send us some special tax things that we only need from them. And I'm sure there's some other examples. But if it's supporting documentation that we've never asked you for, please don't attach it. And even with the special things I'm referring to, I would still probably contact us and see if we want it attached to the package or if we want you to just email that separately, because we don't have a pre-formatted way of collecting it in Workiva. So most likely we'll probably still want you to just email us that instead of putting it in Workiva. Next question. What do you do if you realize after the master reporting package has been submitted that there are additional reporting packages that you need to complete? You will have to revise the master reporting package in this instance. So the first step would be to contact our office, and we'll go through the process of having you revise it. And once the package is revised, we'll have to run what we call chains in Workiva, and that will have to go through the process to actually generate the package. We cannot manually push out the package. So please keep in mind that running the chains can take 1 to 3 hours. So, try to make sure you have all the packages you need more than a day or two before the due date, because we may not be able to get them to you in time in this new system. Next question. Will reports like the BW and Bob J reports we send from SKIS be delivered in Workiva? And will packages be pre-populated with data from those reports? So we will not be delivering the reports in Workiva. Any of the ones that you previously received via email, you'll continue to receive those via email. As far as packages being pre-populated with that data, as of now, the only packages that will pre-populate with data are the packages that have always, or most recently, have pre-populated with data, the data. I don't want to say always, but sorry, I'm trying to find the list. So for this year, inventory and the recent history, that has pre-populated with data, and that will continue to do so. That's part of the reason why it will be available in Workiva later. Governmental fund balance classification, same thing. I think those are the only two currently in there that are going to pre-populate with data. And in the future, any other packages that pre-populated with data the old way will most likely pre-populate with data in Workiva still. We don't plan on changing the ones that already had the data, but we don't currently have any plans to pre-populate ones that don't pre-populate. Next question. What payroll data will be in Workiva? So I know there's a question on the GAP contact package about sensitive payroll information. That specifically is just asking about you receiving the compensated absences and sick leave reports. And that is still done through email. That will not be done in Workiva. Aside from that, there is no compensated absences package in Workiva. When you do get those reports, you just email us to let us know if there's an issue. You don't actually complete a package. Aside from that, in the future when litigation is in here, you might have something somewhat payroll related, or I guess I should say HR related in that package. But other than that, you just have the master reporting package, and in the future, the subsequent events reporting package. They both have sections with a little bit of payroll reporting, but the package itself doesn't ask you to report anything that would be sensitive. Like you're not reporting any employee names or anything like that. And you don't necessarily need an HR person to have access just to do this little section. You can have them provide the information and you fill it in. Or, you know, kind of however you've done it in the past, because those two packages usually do require multiple people to provide information for you to complete them. Next question. Why does my package say this sheet is in input mode to have edit access re-enabled, contact a sheet owner? Now that would display up here at the top in blue. It's not displaying for me because I have different access, but you are supposed to see that message at the top. All the packages are in input mode. That's the way it's supposed to be. I don't know why it says to have edit access re-enabled, because you have edit access. It's just in the blue cell. So it's just kind of how Workiva functions, but that is the way it's supposed to be. Don't freak out and think something's wrong. As long as you can type in the blue cells, you have the proper access. Next question. Does the system track edits to show the changes and the author? I kind of went over this already, but to the right, your history tab has all that in it. So I'm not going to go over that again. I just want to reiterate it. Next question. Is there a review function within Workiva? There is a review function in Workiva, but it can only be used by workspace owners, which would just be the financial reporting team at the CG's office. So agency users will not have that review capability, unfortunately. But hopefully that's not that big a deal. You can still just email or talk to your coworkers to let them know it's ready. You can also, if you want, use we told you we only care about using submitted or revised, but you could use all the statuses, and your coworkers or your boss, whoever, who know you're working on it, you haven't started it, and when you can't tell them ready for review, but up until the point it's ready for review, you can utilize that status box and then just notify them when it's ready. Next question. Can multiple users be in and work in the same file at the same time? Yes, this works similar to the way Office works if you're using it through the browser, through the cloud. You can work in there at the same time. You'll actually see other people where they've clicked and what they're doing, and it'll show in the bottom right corner everyone that's currently in the spreadsheet. So right now it's just me, but if there were other people, it would show it. Next question. Can we electronically sign our reporting packages? There is no feature of electronically signing them within Workiva, but if you want to electronically sign your PDF, if you have that functionality, you are able to do that, but you still have to export the file and get it to a PDF, do it externally, and then bring it back into Workiva and attach the file. Hopefully that changes at some point, but right now we don't have that functionality. Last question. I'm confused by the two deadlines. Can you kind of explain why we're submitting this package twice? And they're talking about the GAP contact reporting package, the one I'm in. So for the initial package, you may have noticed it says 2024. It does have the correct due date, but it has 2024 for the fiscal year end, and you're in a general 2024 folder to get to your agency code. We're having you do it twice for a couple of reasons. The biggest one being we needed to get your contact information before June 6th because we need to get as many of the preparers and reviewers in Workiva as we can before things start getting really hectic. We also wanted to do a test with all the agency users with that this is not an official FY25 package, it's just an initial one, and we wanted to test it and kind of get an idea of any issues we might have, and we've already identified some, so I'm glad we decided to test it because hopefully that will make your FY25 submission that's due on June 6th run more smoothly for us. And I don't think a whole lot of people have been affected by those issues yet, but anyone that was, hopefully the second one will go more smoothly for you. We also are still doing some testing Workiva, so we're not ready to roll forward to FY25, but we will be doing that soon. And so when you do the June 6th reporting package, it will be a different file. It will be in a general 2025 folder, and it will say for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025 at the top. It will pre-populate still with the data from your initial GAP reporting package. At least hopefully it will. It should. So on this form, you would only provide any updates or correct any potential errors. But you would have to still go in and refill out the preparer and reviewer information. That's not going to pre-populate. That has to be done every time you submit a package, and you'll still have to redo this or do another signature page and attach that, and then once you're done you'll hit submitted, but it should be much quicker than your initial contact submission form. So that's all the questions I have at this point, but please feel free to reach out to us with any other questions you may have.